Level 1. The intern. You got the offer. It came on a Thursday. You were in the middle of a lecture on linear algebra when the email arrived. You didn't open it until class ended. You read it standing in a hallway, backpack still on. Your stipend is $6,800 a month. You're 21. You've never made this much money in your life. You tell your roommate. He says that's insane. It isn't insane. It's entry level. You don't know that yet. The company is real, not the top name. A real name, mid-size, profitable. You tell people the name and they recognize it. That feels like enough. You show up on Monday. You get a MacBook. You get added to Slack. 17 channels. You read through all of them on the first day, trying to understand what the team actually does. You understand maybe 40% of it. You don't tell anyone this. Your project is scoped for 8 weeks. It involves customer behavior data. Your manager explains it in a 30-minute kickoff. You take 3 pages of notes. You leave the meeting and immediately realize you don't know what your first task actually is. You wait 2 days before asking. You phrase the question carefully so it doesn't sound like you weren't listening. Your manager answers in 4 sentences. That's enough to start. The data is bad, not broken, just messy in the way that real data is always messy, which nobody told you about in your statistics courses. There are columns with no documentation. There are joins that don't resolve cleanly. There's a field called flag v2 with no explanation anywhere. You ask 3 people. 2 respond. One says he thinks it's deprecated. You filter it out and move on. You build something. It's not sophisticated, a classification model with 68% accuracy. You're not sure if that's good. You ask your manager. She says it's a reasonable start. You spend the next week trying to get it to 74%. You get it to 71%. You present it at the end of week 8. 9 people in the room. 3 of them are on laptops. Your manager asks 1 question. You answer it correctly. You get a return offer. Not everyone does. You feel relief before you feel anything else. The relief lasts about 5 days.
Level 2. Data Scientist 1. You're 23. You graduated in May. You started in August. You moved to a city you visited twice. Your apartment is $2,300 a month. Your base salary is $118,000. After taxes and rent, it feels like a normal life. Not a bad normal, just normal. You're on a different team than your intern team. This one works on fraud detection. You don't have fraud background. Nobody expects you to have fraud background. They expect you to learn fast and ask good questions. You learn fast. You're still working on the questions. Your first 3 months are feature engineering and data validation. This is real work. It doesn't feel like real work because nothing you build goes anywhere visible. You write scripts. The scripts run. Nobody mentions them. You assume they're useful because nobody tells you they're not. A senior data scientist on your team is patient with you. She explains things once, clearly, and doesn't repeat herself. You pay attention the first time. You ask follow-ups by message so you don't interrupt her day. She responds when she can. You piece things together from her responses and the documentation, and a lot of Stack Overflow. Your first model ships in month 4. A fraud scoring update. Small, incremental, no new methodology. It goes into production on Wednesday. By Thursday, you stop thinking about it. There's no feedback, no alert, no metric movement that gets attributed to you specifically. Somewhere downstream, something is probably working slightly better because of what you built. You'll never know exactly how much. Your first performance review is in December. Meets expectations. Your manager explains this is normal for a first year. Most people get it. You do the math on how long it takes to get promoted. You make a note in your phone. You don't look at it again for 8 months.
Level 3. Data Scientist 2. 2 years and 4 months. That's how long it took. The promotion came through in the spring cycle. Your base moves to $139,000. New equity grant. Total comp is around $174,000. The number is real now, in a way it wasn't before. Real enough that you stop converting rent into a percentage of your paycheck. You're 25. You own a model now. Not a feature, not a script. A model. It runs every morning. It feeds a dashboard. A director checks that dashboard weekly. You've never spoken to the director. You know she exists because the dashboard logs show her user ID in the viewer history.
You scope your first solo project. You get the problem definition wrong on the first pass. Your manager catches it before it goes anywhere. You revise it. You get it wrong again in a different way. A stakeholder catches it this time, politely, in a review meeting with 4 other people in the room. You revise it again. You deliver 4 weeks late. The output is useful. A product team uses it to make a decision 3 months later. You find out by accident in a Slack thread you weren't tagged in. You understand now how impact works here. It's real and it's invisible at the same time. The work ships, the effects disperse, the credit doesn't follow you back. You stop measuring success by recognition. You start measuring it by whether the thing is still running 6 months later without breaking.
Level 4, Data Scientist 3. 14 months after DS2. You pushed deliberately this time. You kept a running document of every model you shipped, every decision you influenced, every stakeholder who used your output. Your manager had the material she needed when calibration came around. The promotion went through. You're 27, base is $156,000, total comp is around $215,000. The equity grant from this cycle is the largest you've received. It vests over 4 years. You do the math on what that looks like if the stock holds. 2 junior data scientists on the team come to you with questions now. Not officially. There's no org chart reason for it. They just ask. You give answers. Some of the answers are wrong. You're starting to see the shape of your own mistakes from 3 years ago reflected in the people you're helping now. You tell them what to watch for. They listen. They make the mistakes anyway. This is not a failure of communication. It's just how learning works when the lesson hasn't felt real yet. You stop being frustrated by it. You document the answer. You point them back to the document when it happens. That's all you can do.
Level 5, Senior Data Scientist. Year 6. You're 29. The promotion process was formal. Self-assessment, manager write-up, calibration committee. You got the email on a Tuesday. You read it, went back to your work, sent your partner a message that said it came through. They responded with a string of emojis. You went to lunch. Base is $179,000. Bonus target at 15%. Total comp around $252,000. You own a vertical now. Retention modeling across 2 product lines. You set the roadmap for your area. You run the weekly sync. You push back on product requests when the data strategy behind them doesn't hold up. Sometimes you win the argument. Sometimes the product team goes around you. When they go around you, the project usually struggles in the back half. You don't say anything when it happens. You write a note for the post-mortem. An on-call alert fires on a Saturday morning. You're at a hardware store. You spend 35 minutes on your phone in the parking lot. The model didn't fail. An upstream pipeline changed schema without notification. You file the postmortem. You build an automated alert to catch it next time. The postmortem format you use gets adopted by 2 other teams. You didn't design it to be a template, you just wrote it the way that made sense. You try for staff. The first cycle, you don't make it. Your manager says your technical work is strong, but your influence isn't visible outside your immediate team. She says you need other data scientists who don't work with you to know your work exists. You spend the next year writing more, presenting more, sharing the things you'd been building quietly. It feels like a different job. You learn to do both. Level 6, Staff Data Scientist. Year 8. The promotion came through on the second try. You're 31. Base is $212,000. Bonus at 20%. Total comp with equity around $318,000. You don't own models anymore. You own a problem space. Your problem space spans 3 teams. You sit in on their roadmap reviews. You're the person in the room who sees the overlap they can't see yet. 2 teams building separate feature pipelines that should be 1. You write the proposal. You get the buy-in. The consolidation takes 7 months. It reduces compute costs across both teams by 35%. That number goes in your annual impact document. Your week is roughly 25% technical work, 75% everything else. Documentation, alignment meetings, written proposals, pre-briefs before the actual meetings. You used to think the technical work was the job. The technical work is a smaller part of the job than you expected. You miss writing code sometimes. Not enough to go back to a role where that's all you do, just enough to notice its absence.
Level 7, Principal Data Scientist. Year 13. You're 36. The promotion wasn't a cycle. It was a conversation with your VP and your CDO. The executive committee approved it. Nobody reviewed your work. They already knew your work. Base is $251,000. Bonus at 28%. Total comp on an average year is somewhere near $420,000. It varies with stock price. You have a financial advisor now. She tracks the variance. You mostly stop watching the number move. You write the document that defines how models get evaluated across the entire engineering organization. You send it out for review. 40 people commented, 6 pushed back on something substantive. You revise based on 4 of the 6. You explain why you didn't revise based on the other 2. You publish the final version. It becomes policy. A startup reaches out. Pre-IPO, Chief Data Officer role. Real equity, real risk, real ownership. You think about it for 2 weeks. You talk to your partner. You run the numbers with your financial advisor. You have vested stock you'd be leaving behind. You have 2 kids. You have a mortgage and the calendar that's already overcommitted. You tell the recruiter it's not the right time. You mean it. You go back to the next problem. There's always a next problem. At some point, you stop expecting them to run out. You're not sure exactly when that happened. Somewhere between level 4 and here. You keep working.